United States Department of Justice. If you would like to speak with a Department of Justice operator, press 0.
Department of Justice.
Hi, I wanted to know how to get a message to Ms. Bondi.
So the only way to get a message to Ms. Bondi is through the comment line. I can get you over to the general contact information, but it just has like the address with her suite number, or I think there might be the general email like ask DOJ or something like that.
Okay, I'm just wondering if she is a traitor to the country or if she plans on filing perjury charges against Mr. Fisher, who said in an official court filing that Elon was not the leader of Doge. He filed that under oath. And the president just said on TV last night that Elon is, in fact, the leader of Doge. So it's Ms. Bondi's job, obviously, to press perjury charges. And she doesn't seem to be too concerned about it. So the only conclusion could be that she's a traitor. So where would I get that message to? How do I report Ms. Bondi for treason?
Give me 1 second.
Sure. Yeah, I guess she's not the best person to go to since she's the one committing treason. So, who?
Right. Let me see if I can get you over to the Office of Inspector General.
Aren't they all fired?
No.
Okay.
You have reached the Department of Justice, Office of the Inspector General. To report what you believe is wrongdoing by an employee of the Department of Justice or within the Department of Justice programs, please press 1. To leave a message.
Of course.
National Security, can someone help you?
Hi, I just got sent to you by the DOJ line. They were trying to send me to, initially the Inspector General to report an act of treason, but the Inspector General line, when you hit 1 to report something, it goes to beep, 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 like it doesn't, there's nowhere you can even leave a message. It just hangs up on you, essentially. And so I called them back, and this is where they sent me now. Who am I speaking to? What department is this?
National Security.
National Security. Yeah, so I I need to report that recently Mr. What's his name? Sorry, 1 second. Joshua Fisher, the director of the White House of the Office of Administration, committed perjury. He filed under oath that Mr. Musk was not leading Doge. And the president just said on live TV last night, he announced Elon as the head of Doge. So he obviously committed an act of perjury, as we all knew, but now it's solidified. And Ms. Bondi is not doing anything about it. So I believe she's committing treason. So how do we go about handling that, since she's the person who generally presses charges?
1 moment.
Sure, thank you.
National Security, may I help you?
Hi, I just got escalated to you, I guess. So I called DOJ line to report an act of treason. They sent me to the Inspector General line. You click 1 to report on the Inspector General line. When I did that 3 times, I got beep, 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 beep. Like there's nowhere to report it. So then I called back the DOJ line, and they sent me to you guys, or to, you're part of the National Security, right?
Yes.
So then it got escalated to you.
Okay. Have you reported to your local?
No, my local authorities can't do anything about it because the act of treason is committed by Ms. Bondi. Because as you're aware, Joshua Fisher, the director of the White House's Office of Administration, filed in court that Mr. Musk did not head Doge. He said that under oath, or wrote that under oath. So he's obviously committing perjury. And Ms. Bondi seems more than happy to let that slide, which I believe is an act of treason, given the actions that Mr. Musk is doing while they're telling us he's not, when the president just said on TV last night that he in fact is. So someone's treasonous and it needs to be handled, and one of the people that seems to be treasonous is the person that should be handling it. So I don't know where we go from there. Yeah, it's a tough situation. Yeah, seems almost like a coup, in fact.
Okay. So again, you were transferred to DOJ Inspector General's office, and there was no space for you to leave.
It wasn't even that there was no space. It said hit 1 to report, and I hit 1, and it just went beep, 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 beep. Like it was the equivalent of like an old school busy signal.
Okay.
And that happened more than once.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I get it, because the people who should be handling it are the ones that are seemingly committing a coup.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
who's responsible for holding? Sorry.
With the FBI.
I suppose I can do that. They seem compromised too, but I guess that's my next best bet.
And that number is
202
324
324
3000.
3000. But to be clear, the top of the food chain at the FBI is Ms. Bondi, correct?
Yes, for DOJ, yes.
So basically there's no one that can hold her accountable. She's untouchable. Not your fault, but seems to be the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's scary. That's very scary. Do you know, this probably isn't in your wheelhouse to know, but is there something, not that they will, but is there something Congress can do?
Perhaps, yep, and that's your next step as far as bringing to their attention, as a constituent. Definitely, inform them of your concerns.
So can they take legal action against cabinet members?
At least give you a feedback and response,
acknowledging it doesn't change a coup, though. So
yeah, we'll see.
Well, hang in tight. Don't let them get you too. All right, have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
That might be the scariest phone call I've made yet. I'm gonna cry.
For the record, I will note that Donald Trump did admit in his remarks today explicitly that Elon Musk is the head of Doge.
I have created the brand new Department of Government Efficiency, Doge. Perhaps you've heard of it. Perhaps. Which is headed by Elon Musk, who is in the gallery tonight.
And while that comes as no surprise to anybody who's been following the facts of this matter, that will end up in court because that is directly contrary to what the administration has overtly sworn to a federal judge about the leadership of Doge.
Rewriting it, and we are going to bring in something called the Gun Violence Restraining Order. So if someone is civilly committed, typically you can hold them for up to 72 hours, but people are getting out within 24 hours, the majority of them. So what we want to do is let law enforcement come in and take the guns.
Good.
They're a danger to themselves
Which you can't do right now.
Well, without being adjudicated. So because they're a danger to themselves.
You want them to take the guns and
when they are committed.
Not go through 6 months of legal trials and everything
Exactly.
else.
But we also have to give the mentally ill the due process in which they deserve, President. So what we're doing is they're going to be able to take the guns when they're taken into custody or into the hospital, and then when they're released, within 24 hours or 72 hours later, typically it's 24 hours, but law enforcement will have 72 hours to determine whether they should give those guns back or they can go to a judge and say, Your Honor, please keep these guns. We feel this person is still a danger to... Mayor, thank you. I know you're going through a lot now. President, she was there that night with me. I think you were there with me until 3:30 in the morning when all these families were being notified, and it was horrific. So I know you've been through a lot, so thank you so much.
Sure, great job.
I have a couple issues that I'll wait. Do I want to talk about them now?
Talk
or
about them.
Later?
You can talk.
Well, one, it addresses some of the things you said. In Florida, it's called the Baker Act, but it's our Civil Commitment Act, and it's weak. And it's about 1,000 pages long, and I've had my Solicitor General on it for 3 days now, working on it. We're rewriting it, along with Governor Scott, who's, you're going to meet with him. He's going to give you a ton of good information. We've been rewriting it, and we are going to bring in something called the Gun Violence Restraining Order. So if someone is civilly committed, typically you can hold them for up to 72 hours, but people are getting out within 24 hours, the majority of them. So what we want to do is let law enforcement come in and take the guns.
Good.
They're a danger to themselves
Which you can't do
others.
right now.
Well, because without being adjudicated. So because they're a danger to themselves.
You want them to take the guns and
when they are
not go through 6 months of legal trials and everything
exactly.
else.
But we also have to give the mentally ill the due process in which they deserve, President. So what we're doing is they're going to be able to take the guns when they're taken into custody or into the hospital, and then when they're released, within 24 hours or 72 hours later, typically it's 24 hours, but law enforcement will have 72 hours to determine whether they should give those guns back or they can go to a judge and say, Your Honor, please keep these guns. We feel this person is still a danger to himself or others, whether
So
they're
this
in or
would
out
not
of
have
custody.
worked the way it's currently constituted. This would not have worked with Cruz as it's currently constituted.
As it's currently written.
So you're going to make changes?
We're going to make changes. And one other thing we're doing about the reporting, President, which is huge, this is a big issue. We need a clearinghouse, and that's what we've all been discussing. And we have created, and several of my counterparts have done it around the country, but we're the biggest state doing it. It's an app, because kids now are on social media. And there were so many warning signs on Snapchat, on Twitter, on Instagram, and they were posting them, they were sending them, but to all different sources. We're going to have, and we just got it written in our House and Senate budget, it'll cost at least $500,000 a year to fund this. But what it does, kids, and so I met with 10 students, and they loved it, and they said, I'm empowering them. 3 of them are my graphic designers. They're going to design the icons. Some are going to name it. They're helping us with it. But it'll cost probably about $100,000 maximum to develop. That's all in our budget. So what kids can do now, they can automatically send something that says, I'm going to buy a gun, just like Cruz was doing. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And one of the girls who I met with, one of the students, told me he had been doing this since middle school. He had bullied her, and she reported it. So it will they can instantly, and they can do it with anonymity. Put it in this app.
Good.
It'll go in the app, and it'll go to one clearinghouse with state law enforcement in Florida.
Well, you mentioned the internet. We have to look at the internet because a lot of bad things are happening to young kids and young minds, and their minds are being formed. And we have to do something about maybe what they're seeing and how they're seeing it. And also video games. I'm hearing more and more people say the level of violence on video games is really shaping young people's thoughts. And then you go the further step, and that's the movies. You see these movies, they're so violent, and yet a kid is able to see the movie if sex isn't involved, but killing is involved, and maybe they have to put a rating system for that. And you get into a whole very complicated, very big deal. But the fact is that you are having movies come out that are so violent with the killing and everything else that maybe that's another thing we're going to have to discuss. And a lot of people are saying it. You have these movies today where you can go and have a child see the movie, and yet it's so violent and so disgusting. So we may have to talk about that also. Well, thank you very much, Pam.
Thanks, President.
Thank you very much, Jeff.